They say, if you ever meet Mammy Water, your life will never be the same. Some people come back with riches. Some never return at all. I used to laugh when I heard the stories. Old women with trembling voices warning us not to wander near the river at night. They said she lived there, half woman, half spirit, with eyes that could drown you and beauty that could burn through your soul. But here's the thing. The ones who laughed the loudest, the ones who swore they would never bow to superstition, they were the first to disappear. I should have listened. I should have stayed away. Because Mammy Water is real, and I am living proof. My name doesn't matter now. What matters is that I saw her, and my life has not been the same since. It began with whispers, the kind that creep into your dreams at night and wake you drenched in sweat. The sound of rushing water, even when I was nowhere near the river. The scent of something sweet, like flowers blooming in a graveyard. And then came the hunger, a pull I couldn't fight. No matter how hard I tried, I kept walking toward the water. The elders say the river chooses who it wants. That's the cruelest part. You don't find Mammy Water, she finds you. And on the night she found me, everything I thought I knew about life, about love, about power drowned with the moonlight in the river's dark mouth. I grew up hearing the river stories. Every child in the village did. By firelight, we listened to the elders speak in hushed tones about Mammy Water, the spirit woman of the deep. They spoke of the golden chairs beneath the waves, the glittering crowns she wore, the pearls that dripped from her skin like water. Others trembled at those stories. They crossed themselves, spat on the ground, and swore never to go near the river at night. But not me. Where they heard warnings, I heard promises. Where they saw curses, I saw treasure. And I burned with only one thought. I wanted her riches. I wanted the gold that could make men bow to me. I wanted the power to silence my enemies with a single wave of my hand. I wanted to walk into the market and see fear and envy in every eye. The river, they said, could give you anything, but it always asked for something in return. I told myself I was ready. Even when my mother grabbed my wrist one night and whispered, "The river does not give, it only takes." Even when my grandmother's voice broke as she said, "If you ever meet her, you will never belong to us again." I didn't care, because hunger is louder than wisdom, and my hunger had already chosen for me. I began going to the river every morning before the sun rose, while the rest of the village still slept. While roosters held their breath and even the wind was silent, I slipped away. The path was cold beneath my bare feet, the grass heavy with dew. The air always felt different there, heavier, like it belonged more to the river than to us. I would crouch by the bank, waiting, searching, hoping. Sometimes the water whispered. The current would shift, forming patterns I swore were not natural. A shimmer would ripple across the surface, as if someone had brushed their jeweled fingers against it. And each time, my heart pounded. Was it her? But the river never answered fully. The elders said the Mammy Water only revealed herself to those she chose. And yet, I was stubborn. Every morning I returned. My eyes scanned every shadow, every ripple, desperate for a sign. The hunger in me grew. When I closed my eyes at night, I no longer dreamed of the village. I dreamed of golden palaces at the bottom of the water. I dreamed of a woman with eyes that glowed like moonlight, her voice like music calling my name. Each dawn I came closer to the edge, leaning, listening, daring her to notice me. And though she had not yet appeared, I felt it deep in my bones. She was watching me. One day I found her, Not in power, not in glory, but broken. She lay on the riverbank, her body half submerged in the water, bleeding, unconscious. For a heartbeat, I thought it was just a drowned woman. But then, I saw her face. Even through the dirt and blood, her beauty struck me like lightning. Skin pale as the moon, hair that shimmered wet and dark, strands glinting like threads of silver, and her hands delicate, jeweled, trembling with weakness. Mammy Water, the queen of the river, the goddess of every story, and she was lying there helpless before me. Fear gripped me first. What if this was a trick? What if she rose up and dragged me under as the elders warned? But then I saw the wound, a deep gash across her side, dark water seeping from it like ink into the sand. She winced, breath shallow, a soft sound escaping her lips. She was real, and she was hurt. I should have run. Every story said men who meddled with Mammy Water never returned the same. But instead, my hands moved on their own. I tore a strip from my tunic, pressed it against her wound, whispering prayers I wasn't sure she could hear. Her eyelids fluttered. For the briefest moment, her glowing eyes opened, piercing into mine, where the light felt like drowning and breathing at the same time. And then she slipped back into unconsciousness. And that was the night I stopped searching for her treasure. Because now I had found something far more dangerous. Her. I carried her to my home, hidden from the village. Not out of pity, not out of fear. No, I had plans. The stories said anyone who crossed Mammy Water either came back rich or never came back at all. If she was truly mine to keep, then I would hold the power of the river itself. I laid her on my mat, her breathing shallow, the glow of her skin dimming like a dying flame. Every shadow in the room seemed to bend toward her, as if the world itself knew what she was. I should have been trembling. But all I felt was hunger, not for her beauty, but for what she represented. Treasure, power, dominion over the river that had taunted me since I was a child. Still, there was a risk. If the villagers discovered her here, they would call me cursed. If the river spirits sensed I had stolen their queen, they would drag me down without mercy. So I shut my door. I lit no fire. I spoke no word. For days, I fed her with drops of water, herbs pressed between her lips. At night, I watched her wound glow faintly as though the river itself was trying to heal her. And slowly, she began to stir. Her fingers twitched. Her breath grew stronger. Her lips parted, whispering a word I could not understand. But I understood one thing clearly. When she woke, she would not forgive me. And still, I waited. Because if I played this right, Mammy Water would not rise as my enemy. She would rise as my weapon. If she survived, I would demand riches. If she died, I would sell her body. That was the darkness in my heart. The story has always painted her as a goddess, beautiful, merciful, feared. But to me, she was something else. Opportunity. I had lived my whole life watching chiefs grow fat with wealth, watching elders drink palm wine while my own mother's hands cracked from labor. The river mocked me with every ripple, whispering that treasure was there for the taking. And now, lying in my hut was the greatest prize of all. Her hair spilled like a dark waterfall across my mat. Even wounded, her presence pressed down on the room, heavy, suffocating, divine. I kept my eyes on her chest, rising and falling faintly like the fragile flame of a lamp about to die. Survival meant wealth beyond measure. She could grant me gold, land, wives, power, all the things denied to me as a poor man's son. But death was not a loss either. Even her corpse would fetch a price. The witch doctors would fight for her bones. The kings would pay for her hair, her teeth, her very blood. To own even a fragment of Mammy Water was to own the river itself. And so I watched her, day and night, torn between two futures. Each drop of water I pressed into her lips was not kindness. It was investment. Each prayer I whispered into the dark was not for her life, but for my gain. I told myself it was survival. But deep down, I knew the truth. I was no savior. I was a gambler, betting with the soul of a goddess. And the river was watching. When she opened her eyes, I was dozing beside her. The air shifted. It was as though the river itself had entered my hut, cool, damp, humming with an invisible current. My eyes snapped open, and for the first time, I met her gaze. Her eyes were not human. They shimmered like liquid moonlight, deep and endless, as though every tide and storm had been trapped inside them. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. She studied me, weak but watchful, her lips parting slowly. "You carried me here," she whispered, her voice like a stream slipping over stones. I nodded. My throat was dry. She gave a faint smile, the kind that disarmed, the kind that made you believe you were seen, truly seen. "You are kind," she said softly. "Kind." The word struck me like a blade. I nearly laughed, nearly confessed that I was nothing of the sort. But I held my tongue. Let her believe the lie. Let her see a savior instead of the wolf I was. "Rest," I told her, my voice steady though my chest thundered. "You are safe here." Her lashes fluttered shut, and with a sigh, she surrendered again to sleep. I sat there frozen, my hands shaking. For the first time, doubt began to gnaw at me. Could I still demand riches from a creature who looked at me as though I mattered? Could I still betray someone who believed in my kindness? But greed is a strong thing, stronger than pity, stronger than shame. And so I swallowed the guilt. I told myself the game was still mine to play. Yet deep inside, I felt that the river had shifted, and I was no longer the only one watching. When I woke the next morning, the mat beside me was empty. The Mammy Water was gone. My heart lurched not from loss, but from fury. I had nursed her wounds, hidden her from the village, planned my demands, and now she had slipped through my fingers like mist. But then I saw it. On the floor where she had lain, the light caught something sharp, something dazzling. A piece of gold, smooth as river stones, heavy as sin. I picked it up, my breath quickening. The surface was strange, not forged by any smith's hand, but born of the depths themselves. It glowed faintly, even in shadow, as though the river still whispered inside it. My first reward. I felt my chest swell, my pulse race. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from hunger. If she could leave me one piece, how many more could she give? Chests full? Mountains? Enough to silence the laughter of the rich men in the village? Enough to make them bow to me? I pressed the gold to my lips, tasting the salt of the river still clinging to it. Greed is a quiet poison. It does not roar, it seeps. And in that moment, I swallowed it whole. I no longer wanted her gratitude. I no longer cared for her trust. I wanted everything. And I knew then I would return to the river again and again until she gave it all. Even if it killed me, I should have stopped there. That single piece of gold could have changed my life. I could have bought land, built a house, married the richest daughter in the village. But greed is never satisfied. The weight of that coin haunted me. I would turn it over in my palm again and again, feeling its edges, hearing its promise whispering in the dark. there is more. And the Mammy Water had tested me. That was what I told myself. That first gift was nothing but a taste, a lure cast into my heart. And I had bitten down with all my teeth. I began to dream of her eyes glowing like the river under moonlight, her voice soft and terrible, the way her gold shimmered with a light not meant for men. When I woke, the hunger inside me was worse than any dream. So I returned to the river. Every morning, every night, slipping away from the village like a thief. The water no longer looked calm to me. It looked alive, waiting, watching. And I knew sooner or later she would come again, because I would not stop.